From closed session. We had closed session at 5:30, and we discussed and received information on my page, negotiations, collective bargaining session for PGTA and CSEA, received information. And we received information regarding legal counsel regarding existing litigation, and received information on one public employee evaluation. And we will now go to Pledge of Allegiance. Let's see, is John Path? Okay, he's there. Okay, if we could get the flag, and if everybody can mute, I'll lead off the pledge. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, written communication. Board, since the last meeting I have that we received information about a club at the elementary level, and some information about I'm drawing a blank.
Substitutes?
Yes, thank you, substitutes. There was one more thing.
What else there? I'm scanning my inbox still too to see.
I'm sorry, I should have wrote it down. Well, that's okay. We there was only one more thing, and I'll remember it. And we'll get back to it. Okay, we're gonna go to board member. Oh, board, is there any other written communication that you have? No.
I had a communication regarding campaign limits, a couple of general questions like that. I don't know if I was the only one, but that was a communication.
Okay.
I just got that too this evening.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, board member comments. I'm actually, for the first time, I'm going to start with our student representative, Gabby. Is she with us?
Yes, I am, and thank you. So I have some updates.
Okay.
So to start, we've had Spirit Days for the past 2 days, just again, the holiday spirit. And tomorrow, everyone is looking forward to Pajama Day. So that will be our Spirit Day for tomorrow. Furthermore, next week is finals week. So a lot of students are buckling down and getting ready for a tough week next week, and then hopefully a nice break going into second semester. Also, before finals really start, we're going to do another open mic night on Tuesday, December 15th at 7 p.m. Last time we had about 5 performers, and I was actually pretty surprised we got that many, considering it was a weird week with Thanksgiving. We didn't have the bulletin out until after the actual open mic night. So looking forward to growing this event even more for this next Tuesday. And then the leadership class I mentioned last time is carrying out a communication audit to try and improve the communication systems at the high school, especially considering everything being online with distance learning. So we've been working on that, and we're hoping to finish that up as our first semester project. So we're editing that now, and it should be done soon. So hopefully I have a report on that for you by second semester. And then last thing is, the senior parent group organized this for some of the seniors to help us prepare going into finals. We're doing a senior breakfast burrito event on Monday morning, so we'll just drive by and pick it up, and Billy the Breaker will be there complete with his own mask. So looking forward to that on Monday.
All right, thank you for that update. Okay, board, any other comments? Christy?
Well, I'm just stunned as I hear finals are starting next week. This year, with all the vicissitudes with the pandemic and everything else going on, it's shocking that we're at the halfway mark. It's absolutely stunning. And I know we'll be talking more about it, but it's also moving that this is your last full meeting, Debbie. So I think that's a big deal. And just a huge thank you to staff and everybody. And, you know, we're always talking about Dio and all the people that make all this happen. But I also, the students that have gone through this and made the best of it. It's just, I think it's a wonderful and incredible thing. So that's my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Christy. John Path? You're muted, John.
Thank you, Debbie.
Got
Thank you. I'd like to thank the district for sending me to virtual CSBA last week. A couple discussions there. The ones I sat in were mostly finance and government, and they ranged, you know, from California to the federal level. Always very interesting. Discussions on SALT, which is tax-based, discussions on just going back a little bit and you know, what happens to Title I special ed funding. Looks like it's going to increase. Some broadband and homework gap conversations, extension of the food waivers, which should continue. That was pretty interesting. I went to a session on best practices for board meetings, which really was a kumbaya session as far as I'm concerned. It wasn't really great, but it was, you know, they were trying hard to get information out. And the guest speaker that I did listen to was Leslie Odom, you know, who plays Aaron Burr, who has had a very interesting life. I mean, he's a graduate of Carnegie Mellon University School of Arts, and he was good. But the one thing I think that I took away is how much he was willing to give up for what he considered, you know, the penultimate ultimate role that he actually ended with is Aaron Burr. He had an offer to be in The Good Wife, which got picked up from a pilot, and he was in the pilot and then was offered a contract. Of course, that's like a 6-season contract, and eventually, you know, there's serious money there, or at least enough to keep you going for a while, which he looked at and he said, but that's not the roles that I want to do. And this thing that's kind of maybe possibly sort of happening, you know, is really where I want my lifeblood, and how he gave up that role. So he was a good speaker. It was very good. And I appreciate the district being willing to send me to that. And I believe Ms. Swanson as well. So thanks.
Thank you. Brian?
I think mostly I'm going to save it for next week because I'm not prepared, but is, you know, for comments relating to President Crandall. So we'll get to that next week. I did have a quick question for Gabby about open mic night. You said it's December 15. At what time?
At 7 p.m.
7 p.m. And is there a place where we might all, is there a link for that we might all find it?
I think Mr. Hadquist is posting the Zoom link. I'd have to check with him if he's in the meeting, but on the high school website, somewhere
Okay.
on there, maybe under the bulletin. I'm not sure if that's being updated, but Mr. Hadquist.
Okay, I will.
It'll be posted on the school website.
Okay, great. And if you have a chance, if anybody does, because I'm bad about going to this website or that, or if anybody has an opportunity to share it with the board members, I think that would be great.
Trustee Swanson, I'll have Mandy get that out for you all in an email.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I'm happy. Can I interrupt? I am happy to, sorry, Miss Biondi. I will send a link to Mandy once I connect with Larry, because I'm trying to put it all in the bulletin. So I'll make sure we get that out to everybody too.
Awesome. Cool. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. John Walton?
I just want to wish all the students best wishes for finals week.
Okay, thank you. Okay, superintendent report. Dr. Porras.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple items. We have a long agenda tonight. First, I just wanted to report back a little bit on what's going on with the field usage out there, and rather than plug this into the COVID discussion, since it really doesn't fit there. As we had in the past to announce to the public that we had to close our high school and middle school fields, the stadium, due to various violations of the COVID guidelines by the community members. on the fields, and we closed it for about a week. And we reopened again and put new postings up from the facilities department up on the entrances. Did our very best over the last few weeks now to communicate directly with people that we have found to continue to violate, whether it's the mask ordinance or the social distancing, or gathering in groups greater than 12 or greater. So we've made contacts with folks. We've done our very best to make that work. And I applaud the community. For the most part, everyone is doing their very best to try to make it work. And we want to keep these fields open for public use. We have discovered that our facilities are probably the only ones in the peninsula right now that are open. All the other school districts have closed their facilities down, and we want to keep it that way. So it was with dismay that we received a call recently that various groups were beginning to abuse the situation again. Over the weekend, I had a chance to go and intervene a little bit on several grouping violations and asked folks to please follow the rules. For the most part, people did, but then unfortunately, once that had been done, we all left, and a few hours later, a few folks continued to go back to their behaviors. That was repeated again on Tuesday this week, even to the extent of some of the adult soccer players bringing in lights to play scrimmages after dark on the stadium field. I don't know exactly how to respond to that other than we told them they need to stop. The police also came and asked them to stop. So if these violations continue, we really are going to need to close our fields down again. And I just want to make clear to the public, that is not our desire. We really want to make this work. It takes everyone. So if you see folks out there, a gentle reminder to the folks around you, if you're using the facilities, we will continue to intervene to the extent we can. At this point, I have asked Principal Garcia and his staff to make sure that the gates are locked at 5 p.m. Sunset, so that's reasonable time, and not to reopen the gates until 7 a.m. We're going to do that the week and the weekend, and our hope is that we don't have folks climbing the fences and using the facility in the evenings. Beyond that, if we cannot contain the groupings and the violations, we will probably be forced to have to close the fields down, and we don't want to do that. So in any event, we'll keep at it. And I appreciate all of the staff for working very hard to make this work, as well as the police department who've been very supportive. So that's kind of what's going on, and we'll continue to provide update as we get the information. And then last but not least, just in my time, we will have an opportunity to celebrate President Crandall in a week, and not allowing her to shed a tear tonight, but simply just to say thank you for your amazing leadership. This is your last meeting running the board, and that's always a special time for a board member and a board president. So we just will very much appreciate all that you've done for us and your leadership and your guidance, and looking forward to watching you as you guide us through our final meeting with you as a board president tonight. So thank you so much for that. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack you there.
Hang in there.
I'm gonna watch Old Yeller or something before so I have no more tears left. Okay, PGUSD staff comments for non-agenda items. You can go ahead and raise your hand for that. Preferably the virtual hand, which is on by clicking the participants icon in the lower middle of your screen. Sean Keller, you're up.
Thank you, Madam President. Sean Keller, proud principal of Robert Down Elementary School. And I have a couple events next week. On Monday night, Sonda Fruden, our counselor, is having a Let's Talk book group where she'll be covering the book, The Little Gnome, and that's from 6 to 7. And Jared Macer on Tuesday night will be having a sing-along for our elementary. And I think I just stole Mr. Rogeman's thunder, but those are our two events for next week. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, sorry. And Tuesday night, it's from 6:30 to 7. If you need the link, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
Please send it.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogelman, go ahead. You are
Thank you,
unmuted.
President Crandall, and Mr. Keller kind of took the more fun of the announcements that I had. But yes, it's going to be both our schools, and we're really looking forward to the holiday sing-along. Mr. Keller and I have both agreed to dress in something silly. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And if you can make it, please do. Also, I just would like to let our families know that our elementary distance learning survey went out in their emails today. We will send another copy of that next week, but please, we would love all of our families to weigh in on what has been working with distance learning and areas where we can get a little bit better. I know that we've really been trying to partner with our families through this time, and any feedback that they have is absolutely welcome. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Principal Garcia. Oh, I've skipped Sean. Sorry, Sean, I'll come to you next.
I just wanted to give a big thanks and just a tremendous appreciation that I have for our special education teachers, our special education support staff, and all of our coaches who over the last few weeks have been interacting with our students on campus. And you can just see it in the eyes of our students. They are truly appreciative of being on campus and being given these opportunities. So big thank you to the staff.
Great, thank you. Okay, Sean Roach, you're up.
Good evening, Debbie. Just wanted to give a big shout out to, actually, you know what? A shout out to our special education teachers who have coordinated for the last couple of weeks some small populations here on campus. It's gone very well. It's really lovely to see them here. And we're already seeing some of the fruits of our labor on that. This week, PGMS brought in our at-risk or our at-promise populations. And so these are students who are not academically successful right now. And so we encourage these students to join us this week. They're joining us from Tuesday through Friday, and then all of next week. And what we plan to do is to host them in January as well, so that we can hit the ground running with them. Wonderful time. The students are absolutely very happy to be here. And there's something that goes on in the student's head when they're back on campus. And it's a wonderful thing for them to see. The support is phenomenal. It has absolutely been the best week I've had in quite some time, messing with them, playing with them, walking around the track with them. It's been absolutely wonderful. So just want to let you know we're making some strides.
Great, thank you. Okay, seeing no other staff.
There's two others.
Oh.
Claire Davies, is there?
That's weird. I see it on Barbara here.
And Barbara.
Yeah, but it's not on the side. Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody tonight. I just wanted to remind everybody that it is open registration at the adult school. Who just doesn't need some self-care right now or some time to take a class to think about something other than returning to school? Honestly, it's the classes that we're offering are amazing. I went in today to registration and they're filling up, and I was so happy to see that this time last session we were looking at registrations and we're up since COVID. So people are really reaching out to adult ed, and if you want circuit training with Marta, get in there. She's got like 40 or 50 people already in the last 2 days. And if you want stretching and yoga at 6:30 in the morning, if that fits into your schedule, Janet Light's ready to have you. And if you want some wellness with Tula or with Linda Goulet, they're having classes. And if you want to learn another language, we have classes for that too. So please take a look on our website, sign up for a class. It's just the best opportunity to just fill your time when you're home distancing. So go adult ed.
Great, that's good news. Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Claire Davies, I saw you. Go ahead, Claire.
Well, a couple of the gentlemen kind of stole my thunder, but I want to say thank you also to all our special education staff and our principals. We worked really long and hard planning the reopening of small group instruction. It's voluntary for our families. It's voluntary for our staff. And everybody is really joyful. They're aware of the risk. And I'm not going to say that people are not still concerned and a bit anxious about that. But to get to be with the children is such a joyful experience for the staff. And the children feel the same way. So I just want to thank everybody. A lot of hard work went into this. Matt, with facilities, preparing the way, making sure our campuses are safe. Katrina Powley with all the work that she's done, ordering the PPE and developing documents to provide us guidance. And so I just want to say we're thrilled about it. And we look forward to expanding opportunities in the spring. Thank you.
It's good to hear. Okay. Making sure I don't see any other hands.
Madam President, if I may.
Yes, Dr. Forrest.
Mr. Mejia, he can't raise his hand because he's a host.
Okay.
But he does have an item that he'd like to speak to. So if I may draw your
Okay.
attention to him, that'd be great.
Please, Mr. Mejia, go ahead.
Thank you. Just wanted to give a share out with the community some news that we have regarding our new Chromebook fleet. In light of a lot of the circumstances that we've seen recently develop, we're planning on distributing the Chromebook fleet, the new one, to students, to all students from grade 2nd through 12th, starting in mid-January and hopefully ending by February. We'll have all those students. The big concerns, the big reasons that have come up for this decision have been more around the new Chrome OS 87, which is the operating system. Some of the updates on that directly touch on some of the issues that we've been having with the older Chromebook fleets that are not being resolved by Google at this point, other than on the new operating system. Another thing kind of tied to that is also, as of right now, the California Department of Ed, the CDE, is still telling us that we are going to have to administer the SBAC test or assessment this year. And so we want to make sure that all testing is done on these devices. That's going to be roughly around 1,200 students from PGUSD. So we want to make sure that all students have these new Chromebooks that can take on the secure browser that will be needed for this state assessment.
Okay, thank you for that update. And that testing is in April-ish? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, anyone else? Okay. Individuals desiring to address the board. Let me get my little cheat sheet. Any item of interest to the public will be heard. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes with a total time of 20 minutes per agenda item. Public comment will also be allowed for each agenda item prior to board action. This meeting is a business meeting of the board conducted in public. Please note, the Brown Act limits the board's ability to respond to public comment. The board may choose to direct items to administration for future agenda. So public comment time for individuals desiring to address the board is open. If you would like to do that, you raise your hand by clicking the participants icon in the middle bottom of your screen. And I now see Jonathan's chat. Sorry, I didn't see that before. Okay, I'm seeing no hands at the moment, so we will continue on to consent agenda. Consent agenda are items considered to be routine and or may have been discussed at a previous board meeting. There are no discussions on these items unless a member of the board has specific questions and or requests an item to be removed. Approved items are considered in full and adopted as recommended. Board, are there any questions on the consent agenda? Christy?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, John Path?
I'd like to pull consent J, please. Contract with Grade Network. I believe it's
So
Jay.
And you want to
Yes.
pull it versus just a question, correct?
I want to pull it, yeah. We can put it first. It's the very last consent agenda, so it's up to you.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Brian?
No, I'm okay. Thank you, President.
Okay. John Walton?
Nothing for me.
Okay, all right. John Papp, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented, except item J.
Okay.
Second.
Second. I beat you, Christy. Okay, so the consent agenda, we pulled item J. That motion was made by John Paff, seconded by Debbie Crandall. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Walton,
Aye.
student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That passed 5-0. So with that, then we will add a action discussion item. Can I do A1 and A2?
You're welcome to. Typically, we move it to the end of action, which would make this action K. However, again, you can choose to do it however you like. And if you want to name it A1, we can do that.
Let's go ahead and do that. Is that okay, board?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think I heard John say it would be quick, fairly quick. So,
I hope so.
okay, so we are going to have item A1 be the consent item J that we just pulled. John Paff, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, if it's not quick, it's because I have a very fundamental misunderstanding, which is the reason to pull it anyway. So is Sean on?
I am.
Somewhere? And Jason or Jason?
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm missing something here. I just want to be clear. This is a one-off, right? We're going to do this once. And the goal here is to try and get a uniformity. I mean, teachers get hired over a period of years and you end up with slightly different grading standards and you're trying to bring them back together. Am I interpreting this correctly?
Not entirely. This actually was something that we brought before the board last year at this time and it was approved. We utilize Grade Network on 3 essays a year per teacher. And the way our school uses it, we're a PLC school, so we use it as a kind of a diagnostic. So we send these papers in and in a rough draft form. The turnaround on them is very, very rapid. And the data it gives us is not only individual data for the students to be able to act upon, but it also gives us class-wide data and grade-wide data to kind of inform our instructions and allow us to really adjust instruction midstream and address these specific challenges that we're seeing now. The final grading obviously is from the teacher. After the final grading from the teacher, students are allowed to reflect and then revise and then continue the entire writing process. So this is something we used last year. We met departmentally, found it to be wonderful and amazing. And there is a calibration portion of this to calibrate across grade levels. But what it also does, because we're a professional learning community, we're a PLC school. And one of the tenements of PLCs is if there's a teacher that's teaching what you're teaching and does it better, learn from that teacher. And so that's part of the process of using the Grade Network in this manner. We found it to be incredibly productive. The turnaround time makes it incredibly actionable so that the writing process, which I know takes weeks and weeks and weeks to do, it allows us to adjust instruction midstream and makes us better. And if it's something that makes us better, we got to do it.
Okay. You've answered what I get. So the goal here, sorry, that's not true. This will be, do you anticipate continuing this? It allows you some conversations internally as to what you're grading, but it's really, it's not the way anybody gets grades.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's a method of actually, again, I don't want to say calibrating teachers, but making sure everyone's sort of looking at in the same manner as, and that's not true because you actually have multiple grades.
Right.
So it's not really the same, but
right.
Very good. That's really what I wanted. The fiscal impact is very minimal. I'm not concerned about that. Just kind of trying to understand where we were going with it. So thank you.
Okay. On the fiscal, I just wanted to point out the site funds and not general fund, just for anybody that was curious.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments, board? Christy?
Well, I think it's what's nice is it affects students, but it also allows teachers to calibrate and look at, and discussions surrounding how to grade rubrics. It's so if you found it to be that helpful, like you said last year, it's nice you're doing it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Brian?
I'm happy to see it come back. I remember it from last year, and to me, if it's coming back, it's a sign that it's working, and it couldn't be more affordable, really. So,
hey, what's up?
What's up?
Please make sure you're muted.
That was a pro grade network comment right there.
Yeah.
7th grade student, very happy to have it back.
Yes, they're thrilled, aren't they? Yeah.
John Walton?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Any public comment on this item? Again, public comment, you raise your hand by clicking participants and then raise your hand feature.
Oops, sorry.
Assistant Superintendent Chin Ben Dib is not only applauding this item, she has a question as well.
Oh,
I guess I'm too happy, too thrilled about this topic. Yeah, I mean, we raised it. Just an additional comment about the fiscal site fund is actually general fund, but it's by pupil, per pupil, and it's given to the sites. Is at the discretion of the site to spend? I just want to clarify that.
oh, right. Yeah, the initial amount comes out of general fund, but then they do what they want with
That's
that
correct.
money. Right. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, I have a comment from Annie Silva. Go ahead.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. No, I just wanted to applaud what Principal Roach said. And when we first brought Grade Network, it was with the intention really to support the teacher in the analysis of instruction. And the way that this program works, it really does facilitate for the teacher in a very quick way how to address the needs of the kids, very specifically, very targeted. So it just makes instruction that much more available, quick turnaround for the teacher, for the student, and for everyone. So I am in great support of it. So I appreciate it very much. And thank you, Trustee Paff, for your questions. They're good ones. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I see no other public comment. Am I missing any hands? Anybody? Let me know. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move we accept the contract for services with Grade Network.
A second. Okay, so we have a motion. This is action discussion item A1. Motion by Christy Dawson, second by Debbie Crandall. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall?
Aye.
Trustee Dawson?
Aye.
Trustee Paff?
Aye.
Trustee Swanson?
Aye.
Trustee Walton?
Aye.
Student Advisory?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That passes 5-0. We are now on to action discussion A2. And this is adoption of the board policy 470 COVID-19 mitigation plan. Now, this is our second read for this. We had it last meeting as well, had a discussion regarding this, and now it's back for approval. This is just our policy to say basically everything that we're doing, which is a lot. Is that correct, Dr. Porras?
That's correct, Madam President. Then we've received no other input. So
okay, great. Board, any additional questions? Christy?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, John Paff.
No, thank you.
Brian?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, John Walton.
Not for me.
Okay. Any public comment on this item? Again, this is just the policy second read that we are looking at. You can raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, I'm seeing no hands at the moment. Bring it back to the board. I will go ahead and make a motion on this to approve the adoption of Board Policy 470 COVID-19 mitigation plan.
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion by Debbie Crandall, seconded by Brian Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Path,
Aye.
trustee Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Walton,
Aye.
student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We are on to, oh, thank you, Dr. Purse. Approval of the 2020-21 first interim report. Assistant Superintendent Jinbin Dib.
Thank you, President Crandall. This is 2020-21 first interim report. Because we have a tradition of writing budget revisions normally around September, October, this is going to make it a very short presentation. I do have a PowerPoint, so I just want to go over a little bit, a few highlights. The bulk of the changes, the budget changes happened at the October 22nd reporting date. Since then, there have been very few changes. But again, I'll just go over just the minor highlights here. Let's see, share. Okay, can you see that well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to minimize the screen, the Zoom screen. If you do have any questions, please shout or raise your voice because I'm not able to see you here. So that I can see the PowerPoint. Okay, let's see, slideshow. Okay. So this part, just real quickly to share with the board, the 2021 is 5.14% from last year, the increase actuals. But if we look at the budget, it's actually slightly lower because if you recall, there was the solar property tax that did not materialize. So the percentage, it depends on how you compare it to the actuals or to the projection. There's a variation of percentage. But if we look at from last year's, compare last year actuals, this year shows 5.14%. The 2021, because interim, we have to talk about multi-year budget projections. So we have to include, obviously, for the two subsequent years will be 21-22 and 22-23. And in October, we presented a 2% for 21-22 and also 3% for the third year out. However, because we've been monitoring the current housing sales and the strong trends and also projected receipts, we up that. We meaning the school district administration just we're recommending a 3%. The assessor office originally was a 0%. If you remember, a few months ago was 0% for 21-22, given the pandemic, and it was pretty, pessimistic about the receipts. But at this point, the last conversation I had with the assessor is he said anywhere from 2 to 4%, and obviously the caveat is that can change. So we just go with a 3%. This is based on our own analysis. So in a way, it's a little bit, you can see the next slide tell you exactly approximately how much a 1% change to us. Now, the other highlight is here, second interim. It shows a $248,000 surplus or operating surplus. But again, because every time after we close the books, when we talk about budget, either first interim or revised budget, like in October, there's always carryover funds, which artificially lower our surplus because we have funds that we received last year, we haven't spent yet. So we always show here so that be very transparent, showing the real operating surplus is actually a little bit over $815,000 because this $566,492 was actually money that we received last year and we put in the expenditure so people can process purchase orders. So it shows, in the equation of the expense, but not in the equation of the revenue. So that's all we have to, just to highlight this point here. This is just major highlights. I'm not going to go over that. There's in part of the board packet. If anybody has any questions, we also detail actually transactions, any changes between federal, for example, federal sources. We talk about that in the board packet. So I am not going to go over this in detail here. This is the part to mention about the 2%. And in October, we updated it by 3%. 1% is a little bit over $292,000. So this actually is hopefully it will materialize. We wouldn't know, the rules won't be out until January. So we can get another shot at this when to have really an update conversation with assessors, see where they stand in terms of the 21-22 school year, because they will be estimating the property tax assessments, and those will be going out after July 1, and homeowners will receive that probably around October. In terms of fund balance, is pretty healthy fund balance, 14.2. Again, this is projected inclusive of the 3%. Adult ed, there are not a lot of changes. Just again, the major descriptions of the changes were actually, they are included in the board packet, and also with budget revisions number 2. And is a healthy fund balance in here, is shown the restricted and also the assigned fund balance. Child development, just real quickly in here that this year in October, we started having this conversation where the receipts are actually lower than the normal time, but we up that going to next year, when hopefully by then COVID-19 will be over. So we're back to normal operations where the program will be starting, collecting receipts, generating income, and some obviously with corresponding increase in expenditure as well. For this year, a lot of this 50% of salaries were actually paid by, taken up by the care funds. One of the major care funds groups is actually will expire December 31st. That means anything up after January 1st will go back to the program, meaning go back to this fund. Any deficiency in funds will be contributed or will be absorbed by the general fund in the form of contribution from a general fund to pay for the increase or for the pay for salaries. What happens is that by accounting code, we have to show the salaries in the right fund. When there's not money, we have to show contribution from a general fund. That's the proper accounting to display the ins and outs of expenses. Some scenario with cafeteria fund. The only difference is that because we have the waiver, so we have reimbursements from the federal government and also from the state as well. That helped a lot in terms of the deficit for this fund. Otherwise, it would have been a lot higher. But still, you can see almost double normal contributions compared to last year. And we got, again, for the projection going out in the new budget year, we show that we're back to normal operations. The sales, the reimbursements actually, with waiver would be less, but then sales of local sales, meaning meal sales, would be up. As you can see, almost double. And then the contribution from general fund is back to more or less like before. Going to Fund 14, Deferred Maintenance Fund, not a lot of changes, no budget revisions since the last time we look at. Something with Fund 20, this is the little fund, the post-employment benefits. We have the residual balance of a little bit over $6,000. Fund 21 is for now is the education technology measure A. We show the $2 million. These proceeds will be spent by year 3, and this will be through 22-23 for approximately $650,000 per year. And our technology team will always report that to the board by semester, and they're doing really a great job of that. The $650,000 is not touching the interest. Obviously, rate is very low, but still there's a small amount of interest income. There would be like a little bit of cushion in case, all those, technologies is always there, always of high need. If we need a little bit more here and there, that would be help out a little bit if we need to purchase, we change our request to the board. So that gives us a little bit of cushion there rather than spend down all the proceeds and the interest. Fund 40, capital outlay, no budget revision at this point. So this part here is showing the reserve levels. There was a question about this reserve level. Is this information? Does it mean that it's not mandatory? Is the desire of the board, and also information for the board and the public to show as compared to other school districts where we stand in terms of reserve level. For Unified School District, they 18-19, we don't have 19-20 yet. It's about a little bit over 17%. Earlier, we show ours 14.2%. And then for Basic 8 School District, the average of Unified Basic 8 School District is you can see the 4 years is actually going down, for average school districts from all the way of 5 years ago, 27% to a little bit over 23%. And this is our level. So with that I think that's it. So I'll stop sharing and then open to the board and the public for questions.
Great, thank you for that. Board, do you have questions regarding this? First interim, Chrissy?
Well, the only thing I'm concerned with is that the last chart you showed, it's troubling the trend of us having less and less in the pot than is recommended. And I think that's so important that we keep that in the forefront, because as we go into negotiations, sometimes for salary, we hear that we're uncaring about teachers, but I think it's very important that we also know that we are in charge of making sure our district remains solvent and has enough money that we're ready to cover whatever comes down our way. So that's, I think that's discouraging to see that drop off. That's it.
Thank you, Christy. John Paff, any questions? Comments?
Some comments. Ms. Chinbedib, thank you so very much for the presentation and for keeping us informed. That last chart to me has a bit of a fundamental flaw in terms of comparisons to other districts. If you look at a 27.26, that includes Carmel, which I believe has almost 100%. It has a $60 million budget and a $40 million reserve. It includes Hillsborough, it includes Palo Alto. So at the high end, it's the top, 20 schools in that basic aid probably overwhelm all the rest of us who are closer to 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's a difficult comparison. What I see and what I want to comment on, I'm happy that we are getting reimbursed on the cafeteria fund, that some of that is coming back. Otherwise, we would be in a much bigger hole. And in fact, the CARES funds that have come in have kept us from significantly depleting our reserve, as it were, over the COVID year. If you look at page 56, there's two things that really kind of catch your eye. One is the expenditures, 2021 and going from 2021 to, 21-22 to 22-23. You're looking there over 2 years of a change of 6% in PERS. PERS and STIRS combined, right? That is basically a percentage of our overall salary, which is about 85% of our net worth. So when we see a change like that, it's not quite 1-to-1 in terms of what we have to recover, but it's very, it's 85% of 1-to-1. It's a very big number. And those numbers are still overwhelming. So when we see we're going to get a 3% increase, 2% of that is taken up almost immediately simply by those two changes right there. And that's still very frightening that the state hasn't kind of gotten those under control. So I'm a little worried about that going forward. And I am thankful again to our district, to all of our citizenry who voted for our bond measure, which we will start to see in Fund 21 sometime in the middle of next year after we move the bonds forward, because it's going to really assist us. You know, we would be in a position with a significant deficit trying to maintain buildings now that need a new roof, things that are normal, they're 20-year lives, they're 30-year life. That bond is really going to come in, and I really appreciate the district's citizens for giving us that both responsibility, but that ability to bring that in without pulling from the rest of this. Thank you.
President Quennell, can I, yes, I think Trustee Taft brought up a very good point about the STIRS and PERS. Recognize that this year and next year, remember the state bought down, right, for this year. Otherwise it would be a lot higher, but it will, at one point it will go up in the, especially STIRS, it will go up in the, it's only for 2021, 22, 21, 22. It will go up in 22, 23. However, not PERS. PERS, CalPERS is by the CalPERS board. We have already received correspondence saying that the rates will be already estimated based on the actual study. It will go up by this July. So that is going to be, we will, and when we build the budget for the new budget year, we'll have to include that. So that will not be savings for us. Savings compared to prior year. Just in terms of comparison or where we stand at 3%, I did really a quick analysis of past years. Obviously depend on the year, because one year we could have very high statutory rates or other things. It's about 2.25% just for us to break even. Just in terms of perspective for us to see how it's going to sustain us going year by year, because we have step and column salaries, we have statutory increases, and then other, of course, contract services and utilities, right? I mean, we just got news that there's an increase of wage of almost a little bit over 7% in the middle of the school year. So things like that happened. Just to, again, year by year is slightly different, but as general, it's about 2 and 7.75% just to break even. And then the other point about the average, yes, is correct. It's the average for reserve, but there are obviously some that's also lower than us. Any other questions?
I had just a quick one on the reserves, just as to those numbers. Are those county numbers or state numbers?
The state, from a state.
Okay, all right. That was my only question. Thank you.
I had a question. I was muted, sorry. On the reserve survey there, not survey, but the numbers, are the size of the school district the same as ours, or larger, smaller?
All inclusive. It just right here, let's see, it does not show, it just doesn't give us the size of the school district. Let me see in here today. This is from School Services to publish this. I just said it doesn't say.
They probably have that data though. It'd be interesting to know comparison to like 5 or 6 schools that are the same size as ours.
Sure. Okay.
John Walton, any questions, comments?
Thanks, Debbie. Yeah. So Song, I appreciate the report. Good work as always. Just curious, you know, I know it's been a year of unpredictable expenses. It's good to see that the revenue isn't decreasing, which is always a nice surprise. But are there any areas in the budget, given the fact that we're in, you know, we haven't been running school as normal, if you will, where we're seeing any budget savings?
Yes. One area would be substitute costs. We budgeted, you know, not the full 100%, knowing that, you know, when we did you know, COVID-19, we just, obviously we didn't know how long would last the 2021 school year. So we budgeted about 80 to 85%, the usual. And so far we have not spent much because primarily it's not because we didn't spend, it's just because the care funds, We received $1.1 million. We haven't received all the cash yet. We received like 95%, but we have already, we have sent out, or we have charged a lot of the expenditures to care funds. So that's one time. We have not gotten word that will be, whether that will be extended or not, the timeline. One of them that I mentioned earlier, to pick up the biggest chunk of this BRSRP program, because is, you know, is qualified under the program. So we have shifted 50% of the costs to the care funds, and that is the biggest chunk of it. Is going to be done by the end of this month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any public comment on this item? Raise your hand by clicking the participants button. Okay, I'm seeing no public comment. Oh, I just see one. Okay, so I have an iPhone 3. I will ask you to please introduce yourself. Oh,
Where'd they go?
it went away.
They've gone.
It went away. So, okay, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion, please.
Also move for approval of the 2020-21 first interim report.
Seconded. Okay.
Okay, have a motion by Brian Swanson, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Walton,
Aye.
student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. And thank you, Song, for all your hard work on this, as always.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next item is our local control funding formula budget overview for parents. Director Silva, if I could just hand it over to you.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yes, so the local control funding formula budget overview was something that came out with our LCAP last year. It's now a component of the local control accountability plan that in a nutshell is just visual for parents to understand how our funding works and how it is connected to our LCAP. Now, as you know, this year we did not have an LCAP, and in its place we had a learning continuity plan. And with that came funding from the federal government as well as the state called, you know, the CARES funds. And so the intention for these, what the LCFF budget overview for parents is kind of like, okay, so how are we using all of our funding to not only support our ongoing district expenditures, but how we have implemented the learning continuity plan in lieu of what's going on with the pandemic, and how we are using those funds, especially to support the needs of our most challenged students, which is the focus always of the LCAP. So if I can just walk us through this a little bit. You know, the first component is really what are we doing with all of our revenues? Pretty much what Song, you know, Assistant Superintendent Shinben did for us now, which was give us, you know, where all of our funds are coming from. And that's the first chart that kind of identifies all of the funding and how it's distributed. The second component of the chart is related to our total general fund expenditures, and then how much of those expenditures did we implement in the learning continuity plan, and how many of those expenditures were earmarked for our students with higher level needs, which we call improved and increased services. And as you will see that what we spent in our learning continuity plan was earmarked specifically for that group of students, in addition to all of our students, but it was with that intention in mind. And then finally, our connection to the LCAP. Typically, in every year we do an annual update, and what that is we look at what we expected to spend for our improved and increased services for student, as well as all the other expenditures in our LCAP. And then we come to the actual expenditure. So what did we actually spend? And as you will see in the last graph, we spent more money than we expected to, and we always do, because we don't receive enough LCFF funds from the federal, from the state. And so therefore we always have to add more from our general fund. So therefore we always exceed the state's expectation of how we meet the needs of our students. So in a nutshell, that's what this is about, in a way that is meant to be transparent, easily understandable for our parent communities and all of our, everyone, staff and teachers and everyone, so they understand exactly how we have spent our monies and what our priorities have been. So.
Thank you. And you said this is in line with the LCAP, right? So we have the LCAP, which is the plan of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and this is what we spent on it.
Well, exactly. The LCAP, meaning the learning continuity and attendance plan, which has the same, it's funny, how the state does those things, but it has the same letters as the LCAP. So the first two components are related to the learning continuity plan. And the last portion has to do with our expenditures in 1920 for the LCAP. See, this year, well, last year in the spring, I would have brought forward a new LCAP for this school year, 2021. And in that, I would have shared an annual update, and I would have shared with you what we said we were going to spend, but what we actually then spent, and then any discrepancies there. Now, the state wanted us to, there was a specific prompt that said, if you did not spend the money you expected to, you have to explain why. Now, clearly, we spent more money than we expected to meet the needs of our students who need, the improved and increased services for our students, our target populations, our low-income students, our foster youth, our English learners. And so all of our programs that we have in place at the elementaries, our intervention programs, our middle school, our high schools, different classes, support classes, and the folks who teach those classes, that is the expenditure. It's not about a program, it's about the people who implement the program. And that is our priority, because we know people are what makes the difference. So that's where you see in that last graph how we were supposed to spend like 700. Well, we anticipated we would spend 772,000, which was the minimum that the state expected us. It's just a minimum, but we have to spend that, okay, based on a formula that the state provides for us. And we ended up actually spending 1,322,521. So, and that's people. That's not things we purchased. That's other than people who are meeting the needs of students in very special ways. I don't know, Song wanted to add. I mean, Song is the queen of this, so she.
I don't know. I guess it's but yeah. I mean, obviously, I just want to make sure to add to Ms. Silva's information in this one here. It's not like we spend that we didn't budget for this. This is something that's more identification. When we identify at that time, for example, this is support certificated staff. It may not be part of the under improvement in increased services, but throughout the process, we realize that it is. So we can identify this. This is not like we didn't budget for it. It was budget. It's more identification. This is part of the increase and improved services.
Thank you, Song, for the clarification.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Board, any questions? Christy?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. John Path.
No, thank you.
Brian?
I'm okay. I disappeared for a bit because you cannot run the dishwasher and the heater in the studio at the same time without blowing a fuse. So I trust everything is in order. Thank you.
Okay. John Walton?
No questions.
No? Okay, thank you. And Gabby, I see you there if you have any questions. No? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, we'll open this up for public comment. We are voting on this tonight, correct? You need approval for this. Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. If there's any questions, you raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any public comment. I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Make a motion to accept.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, go.
Okay, motion was made by John Paff and seconded by Debbie Crandall. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Walton,
Aye.
student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. Okay, moving right along, we are going to our site plans for hybrid schedule. So just to summarize, we discussed this in length and had a presentation last week or last meeting from each site. And so this is the draft coming back again and now for approval. So the first one up is Forest Grove. Before we go there, I want to just make sure that everybody knows on the public, this is a hybrid schedule plan. We have to have something in place, and it doesn't mean we're going to put this in place tomorrow or January or any specific date, but when we can, this is going to be the plan we're going to work with. And it may change again once or twice, or maybe even more times between now and then. So with that said, first up is Forest Grove, and Mr. Rogeman, if there are any changes since the last meeting discussion.
Madam President, if I may, for just a moment.
Yes, of course.
Sorry to interrupt the groove there. I just wanted to interject here that we've been working on these plans for quite a while, and as you said, at this point, these plans were presented last week, and I think we got a lot of it all settled to go. But I do want to reiterate for the public and for the board, the situation that we're currently in right now is absolutely very fluid. And as you know, the governor just issued a stay-at-home order. And I'll speak just briefly to that at the COVID section, but it does have bearing in these items. And our cases are increasing pretty drastically in our county, along statewide as well. In speaking with the county health department for our county, as well as listening in on a couple others over the past couple of days, it is pretty evident that we're going to be in the purple tier for a while. These plans that we're presenting to you, as we mentioned before, our intent is to look to move forward with these plans in a couple of conditions. The first is initially we had looked to return to school in hybrid mode in January. That was the reopening tiered plan that we revised by board approval. It's pretty clear that we're not going to be reopening come January 5th, and likely not at the end of January either. And so our intent here is to either look at reopening in a hybrid mode with these plans, either when the county moves into a red tier, and then 2 weeks thereafter, because we need those 14 days after moving into that tier, or at the very least look at a possibility of March 15th. That is a long ways past January. Certainly it could be sooner than that, depending on what happens with the county and the data that we're seeing. All of these decisions are governed by the data that we are getting. But we're really realizing January is just not going to happen realistically. And so I want the board, as part of accepting these hybrid plans, it would be helpful if the board could also entertain the discussion of accepting the plans with the understanding that they would not be in place until 2 weeks after the red tier is initiated for our county, or take a look at March 15th as a potential date. And that March 15th date can be fluctuated certainly by board discussion. But I wanted to put that context in there because I think we've got a couple of questions from folks recently asking if we're looking to come back in January 5th, and that's clearly not going to happen based on what we're seeing currently. So I wanted to throw that out there to be part of the discussion. And I wanted to make sure that the public heard that clearly as we review these plans. So we can certainly come back and forth to that, but I want to lay that for you and let you guide your discussion that way.
Okay, thank you. So shall we consider adding that to the approval of the plan?
I think that would be a good idea, and the Forest Grove would be the first plan we discussed this evening. So I think with the board discussion and public input can be included with that action, and then you could take the subsequent action with the other plans as well.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I'm not quite understanding something here.
Go ahead, John.
Are you suggesting then that I'm sorry, Debbie, was that your dog?
Yes, it was. Sorry.
Because you can't see it, but my cat is on the paper in front of me. Yes. So the question really is Dr. Porras, are we saying we will look at it at least by March 15th, no matter what?
Right.
But not before? Or are we saying that we can bring it back at any time before then if it makes sense, provided we get out of the red tier?
Correct. What you just said is absolutely right. The red tier, if we are open for red tier in February, then we discuss it in February for sure. We'll know when we're getting there, certainly by data. But I use the March 15th date because that's a break in the third quarter. That's when we transition into the fourth quarter. It's a transition point in our calendar and our schedules. But absolutely, we will be reporting to you regularly. And so if red tier is coming and we've got plenty of announcement time for that, we'll have that discussion with the board and move forward, which is why I included that comment of at least with the red tier, 14 days after the red tier is initiated.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's see. So back to Mr. Rogoman, if you have anything that you would like to add, otherwise we'll just continue on our discussion.
President Crandall, I think about the only thing that I would like to add is just kind of a quick overview of the numbers that we would be expecting. That in terms of the folks that chose the hybrid model for us, we have about 235 of our students that identified that as the preferred model. And then we have about 132 that had preferred a distance learning only model. I think previously we had talked in terms of percentage of our students. And so I just kind of wanted to give the board, a clear idea of what the numbers would look like. Putting in the hybrid plan would require us to re-roster a number of our students. We have had this discussion at principal check-ins with our families as they've come and tried to answer some of the questions from our parents that they had about that at those two sessions. The first session that we had about 50 parents attend. Second session, we had close to 40. So we've had two pretty good conversations with our parents about the reopening plans that have been presented to the board. And I think that's about all that I really have for us. I'm pretty confident that these plans are going to be ready to go if we get from the purple to the red tier. And as was mentioned last time, we made that shift from the AABB kind of days to going with an AM PM model. Because from an instructional standpoint, it made the most sense in terms of being able to deliver the content. And then also from a routine standpoint, we wanted to get the children on campus as many days as we could.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Board, are there any additional questions or comments on the Forest Grove plan? Christy?
Well, I really appreciate getting the students on campus more often. I think that is absolutely imperative, and I'm glad that you've gone in that direction. So thank you. And I also appreciate the numbers, so we have real good clarity of how many students are still opting for DL no matter what this year. So thank you for that.
Sure.
John Paff, anything else from you?
I'm confident of the hybrid model. It's the hybrid plus DL that's not it's just not tenable. It's not possible. So I don't know how we're going to get there. Buck, thank you very much for putting it together. And Sean, since your plan's identical, thank you as well.
Okay, Brian?
Just a quick point of clarity here. And when we looked at this 235 students for hybrid and 132 for DL only, when did we last ask that?
I believe that survey went out in late October, early November, and it was the first step in us building this plan. We needed to know what the demand for live instruction was and the demand for distance learning. And so that was our first step. If you look at the numbers and you realize that they add up to 18 fewer than the 385 students we currently have enrolled, that's because there's 18 more families that we need to reach.
Okay, I didn't intend to comment on this, but I think that you got all but 18 is commendable too. So my hat's off to everybody for making sure that happened. That's all. I just wanted to kind of clarify when, because it's an ever-changing situation that we're in. So thank you, and thank you to Sean and everybody on your teams for working through all this. I know it often seems like a impossible and thankless task. So, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brian. John Walton?
I appreciate the presentation. And like was pointing out, it hasn't changed much since the last time we talked about it. Hopeful still, and I know we're trying to slowly ease different cohorts back into the schools. I think that's a good idea. But like Ralph pointed out, I think with where the numbers are going and with the direction coming out from the county, I'm sure we'll be revisiting this after the first of the year and seeing where we're at then.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you. I'll open this up for public comment. This is the Forest Grove hybrid plan. Okay, I see no questions. I'll bring it back to the board for a motion, which I will make approval of the Forest Grove Elementary School site hybrid schedule.
With the addition of a March 15th examination.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I make a motion to approve the Forest Grove Elementary School site hybrid schedule as presented to not be just, how do I want to say that? To be brought back by March 15th as needed.
Or if we move into a red tier.
Or if we move into the red tier 14 days after the red tier.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, that was very messy, but I think we got it right.
Yeah, I think so.
Mandy, you good with that? Okay. Do I have a second? Okay, so that motion was made by Debbie Crandall, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall?
Aye.
Trustee Dawson?
Aye.
Trustee Paff?
Aye.
Trustee Swanson?
Aye.
Trustee Walton?
Aye.
Student advisory?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. Christy, board clerk. I really hate to put you on the spot, but can you handle the next one for me? I need to attend to my K9 over here.
Okay, I sure will.
Please, I'll be right back.
Thank you so much. Okay,
all right, thank you.
To the approval of Robert Down Elementary School site hybrid schedule again was discussed very recently. And Sean, would you like to add anything at this time?
Sure, interim Madam President. Just for our numbers, if you hadn't added them up yourself, for our hybrid model, we had 287 students choose that model. And we had 139 students choose to remain in distance learning. Our numbers also are a little low. I did have 100% families participate in the survey, or I answered for them. But we do have a lower number because we did contact families, and we, for any family that was leaving in December, we did not want to add them into. So families have contacted us mostly from either Naval Postgraduate or DLI families. So they let us know. So that's why our numbers are a little low. Only thing I could really add to Mr. Rogerman's comments is that parents will be able to resurvey. That was a concern at some of our parent meetings that we had. And so they can change their mind either way, and we'll adjust and make it work.
So when you mention resurvey, will it be an overall survey, or individuals are allowed to come forward and tell you changes of their desires?
Well, I'm sure we'll have a very similar, if not exact, survey that we sent out in late October, early November. And we'll go through the numbers there, and we'll just elect if we could just say, if you changed your mind, fill out the survey, and that way we'll know if people have any changes.
So then it'd be very up to date at that point.
Exactly.
Great. Okay, are there any questions from the public at this point, or comments?
Do you want board comments?
Board comments too. I should go there first, shouldn't I?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Debbie Crandall's back, thank God.
I am. Do you want me to take over?
I'm fired already, Debbie, I'm fired. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so that goes right back to you, Christy. Any comments?
I appreciate the numbers, and I really appreciate that it can be timely with the getting information up to the minute, so you get a very accurate reflection from your parents. Thank you. Good job.
John Paff?
No comments. Thank you.
Okay, Brian?
Nothing further. Thank you, Principal Keller. Appreciate it.
John Walton?
No comments.
Thank you. Maybe this was said when I was gone, but I appreciate Forest Grove and Robert Down having the same plan. I think I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the same plan, right? I didn't see a whole lot of difference except for the map, of course. Yeah, and I think that is really great consistency. Okay, so let's open it up to public comment on the Robert Down hybrid schedule.
I already did that, Debbie. I did it out of sequence.
You did. I just want to have a little bit more time,
Okay.
just in case. I just want everybody to have the opportunity. I'm seeing no hands, so I will bring it back to the board for a motion.
I
Make
move.
the motion.
Okay.
Go ahead, Christy, go.
I move for approval of Robert Down Elementary School site hybrid schedule.
Second.
Do
we need to add that to every plan?
I think it would be good too, just to make it clear.
Okay, that it would be decided by the March 15th deadline unless we move into the red tier, and at that time we'd have a 2-week window.
Close enough. I second that.
Good.
I'm writing it down. Maybe I'll get it on the third try.
We'll get it consistent.
We've got a lot of time.
Okay, that was a motion by Christy Dawson. John Paff, did you second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall?
Aye.
Trustee Dawson?
Aye.
Trustee Paff?
Aye.
Trustee Swanson?
Aye.
Trustee Walton?
Aye.
Student advisory?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That passes 5-0. So now we are on to the approval of Pacific Grove Middle School site hybrid schedule plan. Principal Roach, I did have a question on this, that are you asking for approval on one or the other hybrid plans?
They're definitely both for consideration with the board. I personally, and I think the site would agree that the AB model works a little bit better at the middle school. There's a little bit more continuity of instruction. The students are already ready and able to work with that schedule. Our teachers have really done a good job of being able to teach the entire lesson cycle within an 80-minute period. It is definitely the safer of the two because we were talking about 3 transitions in that plan as opposed to 6 in the AM/PM plan. And like I said, we've learned quite a bit from this. If the situation arises where we would need to bounce back to distance learning, it will be an absolutely seamless transition. So we're very confident, and we will obviously follow what the board recommends. Of the two, that is the one I would prefer.
AB.
AB.
Okay. And does it, I didn't know if I saw in here, oh, it's 132 for hybrid, I mean, for distance learning, and the rest are hybrid.
325 for hybrid, yes.
325, okay. Okay, that was the only question I had. I thought it was asking, we needed to decide one or the other. Of course, we can always change it back if we need to. Okay, to the board for any additional questions, Christy?
Yeah, Mr. Roach, so you're talking about 6 changes. It's not, there are changes throughout the day, but it's not the same individual 6 times. It's a different group coming in if you're AM/PM.
Correct. So for the AM/PM model, we would have students have 3 transitions for the AM model. And then those students would go home and we would welcome the other half of our student population, which would then have 3 transitions in the PM. So effectively, we'd be hosting the entirety of our hybrid population daily.
Okay, so I want to be on record very clearly that I believe after so much conversation about social emotional well-being of our kids, that I want kids to be, if we go with this, absolutely AM/PM. I do not support kids being in class a couple of days a week at all. So I can't pass this today if I'm supposed to say yes to whatever you guys decide as we move forward. I am 100% behind AM/PM with seeing kids on those 4 days a week. So that's my very strong recommendation.
Okay. John Paff?
I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay. Brian?
I don't want to dig into it too deeply. I mean, given where we are at this point, and it's so fluid, that I'm in favor of just approving what we're looking at. And I acknowledge that the preference is for an AB model, knowing that it limits some exposure there, and also knowing that it may change. Again, we have to remain fluid. So I don't want to, I don't want to draw a line in the sand. I'm ready to move forward, again, knowing that we don't know what's going to happen next week or next month or 2 months from now. So.
Do you have a preference on the plans?
AB.
AB? Okay.
Yes.
John Walton?
I just want to echo what Brian said. I mean, I'm happy to approve it tonight, knowing that the future is going to change and it's unpredictable, but I think it's important that we take our best guess now. And, you know, I trust Principal's recommendation on this. So I'll support his recommendation as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that last sentence, John.
No, I think Sean expressed a preference for an option, and I'm fine with his preference. I don't have any information that would make me feel that I have a better option to offer at this time.
Thank you, John.
So he's supporting the AB, John.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna open this up to public comment for the middle school hybrid plan. If you have any questions, comments, you can raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing no hands. Bring it back to the board. So at first glance, for me, AM/PM would be the preference. However, I am, given the circumstances, I feel safety and the consistency of the instruction, as Principal Roach mentioned, I would support that. In fact, I mean, they're the experts. They know what the students need, what's the best for them. And I think it's a transition anyway. We could even maybe consider going into the AM PM next or something like that. But I would support the AB model for the middle school. I will open it up for any additional comments or questions from the board. One more time, Christy?
Well, I just am so surprised, you guys. I thought we first of all, I think these hybrids, personally, the way the data is going, the way the pandemic is going, I think on so many levels, I just don't have a lot of faith we'll be here anytime soon. But if and when we are, I think students being in school 4 days a week, young kids, it's all the national trend is just the awareness of kids who aren't present in the classroom are falling behind. So if the idea of the hybrid is you're meeting with teachers, for us to say, yeah, let's move ahead with 2 days a week, I'm just a little stunned. I mean, I get that it follows the way that they've been doing it, and I really respect that. But I thought we kind of talked about this earlier, and it was critical that kids are face-to-face with teachers. And safety-wise, if you don't see that kid on Monday, I'm sorry, not Monday, but Tuesday, but you do see him Wednesday, I don't think that's safer. I don't know how not seeing a kid for 24 hours makes some huge difference at all. So I'm sitting here hearing that people want to follow the AB model, but if we follow, we still are presented tonight with 2 here. So are we, as a board, saying we're going to definitely go one way or the other, or both are okay and willy-nilly we decide at a later date? I'm very confused.
Dr. Porras, I think I was asking that in the beginning, that there's 2 proposed and we do need to approve one or the other.
Well, ultimately that's the purview of the board. We were asked to bring back plans that the board could approve. And during the course of the conversations, the middle school plan, there were 2 different plans, and they were designed with input from the public and the board. So it would be best if we could publish a plan at the very least, as was mentioned, that the public could say, okay, this is tentatively what we're looking at going to, with the understanding that things will shift and change. So it would be, I would recommend that the board do choose one of them.
Okay.
If it gets changed again later, it makes it a little difficult on planning for sure. But I think making the best decision now would be helpful for us and for the parents.
May I ask one more question? When this is put out to parents and 2 things are put out there, I would like to hear, I'm kind of surprised we're not hearing more comments from parents this evening. I would like to hear from parents which one is better for their families. I mean, for us to say tonight, oh, that sounds good for the teachers at the school, that's one thing, but have the parents had an opportunity to choose between the AM PM or the AB model? And has there been a specific questionnaire sent out to them, is my question for Mr. Roach.
Actually, we have shared these plans with parents for several weeks. They're on our website, and both are all the feedback that I've received from parents are mostly clarifications at this point. They understand that the board is obviously going to make the final determination on that. So again, all the responses that I've received thus far have been merely clarification of the schedule and about the division of the cohorts.
But you have not asked a parent, do you prefer this model or this model specifically? No, not clarifying, but what is best for your child?
Have we held a forum that has them vote or anything like that?
We have questionnaire that the same as say the elementaries did. I'm wondering, have you asked parents, individual families, what serves your child best?
We have not surveyed in regards to these two models thus far. The public is well aware of these two models. And as I've said before, the input that we've received has been clarification and is asked about the division of cohorts.
I hear you loud and clear. My question is, I'm hearing your opinion, and I'm sure teachers, I mean, I'm going to say as a teacher, I would go for the simplest thing as a teacher. As a parent, I would want my kid in class 4 days a week. So I'm uncomfortable tonight. I will vote. I'm uncomfortable without a specific question, not two things and saying clarify, but which one is best for your student academically, socially, and emotionally. That's what I would like to see.
Okay, thank you, Christy. John Path, anything else?
Well, I think Sean actually has been very clear that the response he's gotten back is that parents are not asking about whether it's one or the other. They're asking about other issues, concerns. So this, I don't need a very specific pointed question. Do you prefer A or B? Sean, if you believe that the first model is better and preferable for your teachers, we're going to be in a position where we run this for 4 months max. I am in favor of making a decision and moving it to that A-B model as described.
Okay, I'm just going to interject before I go to Brian. I just want to clarify that what I heard was that the A-B plan is not for the teachers. It is for the education and consistency with the students. That's what I heard. So
if I said for the teacher, I
we're
apologize.
not, I haven't heard one time anybody say that this is what is best for the teachers. That's not what this is about.
I appreciate that clarification because that's not how I'm thinking. What I'm thinking
No, I know,
is
I know. I didn't think you were. I wanted to say it earlier, but anyway, I wanted to make sure that I get that clarification out there. Okay, Brian, anything from you?
Well, very little additional other than that. Just it's like, you know, Sean and Jason and everybody else there too. I know their ears are open. They are boots on the ground. They're in the mix there, and I will defer to their expertise when it comes to something like this. So if they're saying A-B is how we need to go, then I'm happy to support that.
Okay. And John Walton, I don't think you have anything else to say, but let's see.
Nothing
Nope.
else to say.
Okay. All right. So then I'm going.
My hands are up.
Oh. Wonder why it's not coming to the top this time. It's kind of weird.
It's not.
Heloisa, I'm sorry, I'm not going to attempt your last name. Go ahead.
Hi, Eloisa Junqueira. I'm a parent of a grader and of a second grader at Robert Down. So my question was for the middle school model, the question between AB or AM/PM. I missed the last meeting, so I don't know if this was discussed then, and I'm sorry if you can just disregard my comment or my question, but I would hope that that decision is made between A and B or AM/PM, hopefully based on some information that we might already have from East Coast school districts or from other country school districts who have tried these models before and know the pros and cons of each model. You know, I know we're learning to fly a plane as, you know, in the air, but I also know that there are school districts that are at different moments from us in California. So maybe there's information out there from those districts on which model is better for whatever reason, you know, and since we don't have to jump into those models tomorrow or January or unlikely February, and we have time to look at those and see, you know, which one is better, I think.
A great question and a great comment. And it allows me to give you a little bit of background. When we were devising these schedules, we looked at schedules all across California and actually in other states. We found a great deal of them not to really adhere to the instructional minutes that the state requires. We looked at districts' plans that had not gone hybrid yet. We looked at districts who have gone hybrid at this point. And we found that what fits us best here at PG Middle School with the constraints that we have are one of these two models. But we absolutely did take a look. There were some that you could tell they were staffed exceedingly well because their schedule looked a lot like a checkerboard, and then others which really truly did not meet the state minimum for instructional minutes, both synchronous and asynchronous. So great comment. We absolutely did audit everybody we possibly could.
Thank you for your comments, Heloisa. Okay, and we did technically close public comment, but I have Nancy De Silva, and then we're going to bring it back to the board. Go ahead, Nancy.
I'm sorry I jumped in late. I had lost connection and didn't hear that you had closed public comment. My bad.
No worries.
So I'm a staff member at Forest Grove, but I also have a 6th grader and 8th grader at the middle school. And I agree, just it's very difficult to choose between the two models, but just if you're looking for a parent opinion too, the alternatives between the two, being full day does have a benefit for me just with the social emotional, because then my kids are able to stay through lunch. They have kind of that social period of not class instruction where they can visit with friends again and catch up and have kind of that downtime of socialization, as opposed to the AM/PM model where they're pretty much in class and then they go home. And there isn't really much of a socialization time and a downtime that they have to be the teenagers and make the friends and, you know, that sort of a thing. So just as that kind of viewpoint, just with the, like when we talk about the social emotional benefit, that's one point that I see.
Thank you. And that was for the AB, correct?
Yes, the AB is, you know, allows them to stay at school longer. I know they're there less days of the week, but it lets them stay there longer and be with those friends for a longer period of time, with also kind of like the lunch period and, you know, break times to socialize.
If I may, that's something that we found with our small cohort that we brought back this week. We've got 14 students that have been here and working with us in the exact same schedule as the AB, and they absolutely love break time and they absolutely love lunchtime and walking around and talking and looking at the ocean. I had a kid actually tell me I haven't seen the ocean since March. So it was really nice for them to kind of get out there and just kind of let loose, socially distanced, but
just say 6 feet apart.
connect with another student face to face during lunchtime.
Great. Thank you for your comments, Nancy. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the board.
Think, the one other hand up was up before the last comment, and I know it's out of order, but shouldn't we hear those three?
I don't see a hand.
There's one more. Bertolucci is up.
Yeah, she was up before De Silva. Thanks.
I don't see it. I'm sorry. What's the name?
Bertolucci. If I'm pronouncing it correctly, Bertolucci.
Yeah, Bertolucci. Thank you.
Well, she's unmuted, but I still don't see it. So I'm a little puzzled by that. I mean, I see it anyway. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So as far as safety, you guys are not in any rush to get our kids back to school, and that's been made very clear until you feel it's safe. So I think that we can set aside as far as our decision on where you're going to go, which model, because obviously you're not going to like send our kids back. It's very clear. So when we're going now, we're thinking about academics, which I already think this 2 days a week the way it is now, they only have 2 classes or 3 classes 2 days a week. So math, for instance, they only have math twice a week, which I think is terrible. I don't understand how that's adequate. And so if we're keeping that model, so fine, that's what we have to do for while we're at distance learning. But now we're going to go back to the classroom. They need to have math every day. Other schools are doing it. Carmel's doing school every single day, every single class, and they're able to manage it. So I just find that if you're not going to be able to, they need to be at school every day. 2 days a week is just not enough. It's not sufficient. My kid wants to go back, and okay, the social emotional part, they can see their friends after school. They don't need to be at school to see them. And you can control it better at home. I don't know. In my opinion, they need to be at school. It's not enough. It's currently not enough at distance learning, and it's not enough. It needs to be 4 or 5 days. So thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Okay, I really don't see any more hands now. Does anybody else see hands?
No, you're
Okay,
good.
I'm gonna bring it back. And I appreciate all the comments. I am gonna make a motion to approve the Pacific Grove Middle School site hybrid schedule plan to be decided by the March 15th date, or the 2 weeks in the red tier through the county, and to support the AB schedule as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Debbie Crandall, seconded by Brian Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
No.
trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Walton,
Aye.
student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes 4-1. Okay. Moving right along to Pacific Grove High School hybrid schedule. Principal Garcia, I would ask you if there's any additional changes or things that you would like to point out from the last presentation or not.
No changes, but I do want to provide you with some data, as
Okay.
my fellow principals have done so. So let's see, it was November 3rd that we closed the last parent survey, and we have a student population of 574 students, and we received responses from 399 families. Of those families who participated, 231 indicated that they would be in favor of a hybrid model. 143 indicated that they would prefer distance learning. And we had a little bit of a write-in campaign, and we had 22 families indicate that they would like 100% in person.
Well, that was 22.
22.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna bring it to the board for any questions. Christy.
Just for clarification, your students, you're gonna see all students those 4 days a week?
Correct.
Okay. That's what I thought. Excellent.
Okay, John Paff.
I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, Brian.
Nothing at this time. Thank you, President Crandall.
Okay, John Walton. Any questions? Okay, we'll come back to him if he has questions. I'll go ahead and open it. This is the Pacific Grove High School hybrid plan. I'll open this up for public comment and carefully look for hands.
Oh, I'm watching too. I don't see anything at this
Yeah,
moment.
I don't. It's supposed to. That feature is really why I
Yeah.
liked it, because it brings it to the top and puts them in order. But it's not doing
Coming
that.
to the top of my computer, so I don't know why it isn't on yours.
We
Yeah,
have
it's
we have one
weird.
member of the public named Julie who has her
Julie?
hand up.
Oh, yep. All right.
Just Julie. That's all.
Julie, I see it here. Okay, I'm just gonna look at the grid instead of the list, because I don't think the list is working for me for some reason. So anyway, Julie, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate the high school doing the 4-day-a-week plan. I thought I remembered the board suggesting that the high school and the middle school used the same type of hybrid plan. So I really like the idea of the 4-day a week for middle school as well. I know that there was 2 different plans put together, but there's a difference between getting emails to the middle school for clarification and a survey a survey that asked if you wanted hybrid or distance learning, but there was never a question or a survey about the 2 different plans for the middle school. I would appreciate if the middle and the high school were in sync and both attended 4 days a week.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Okay, I'm looking for hands. Okay, I don't see any other hands. Does anybody else see any hands?
No, you're good.
Okay, bring it back to the board. John Walton, you were muted. I don't know if you had any questions about the high school plan.
No questions.
Okay, great. Okay, do we have a motion then? I'll make a
Make
motion.
a motion to accept this.
No, go ahead, John.
Make a motion to accept the high school plan with the addition of a review by March 15th or 2 weeks into a red tier.
Seconded.
Okay, I have a motion by John Paff, second by Christy Dawson. You know what, before we vote, most important is our student advisor, who is a high school student. Do you have any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions or comments at the moment. I think I'm pretty clear on what the possible plans are, and honestly, either way, just as soon as we can, as soon as it's safe, probably around March or then, I'm just happy with whatever plan goes through. So maybe once we get closer, I'll have some more specific opinions or comments on the plans. But for now, everything looks good.
Great, thank you, Gabby. Okay, now I'll bring it back for a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall.
Aye.
Trustee Dawson.
Aye.
Trustee Paff.
Aye.
Trustee Swanson.
Aye.
Trustee Walton.
Aye.
Student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That passes 5-0. Now we are on to the Carmel, what did I say, Carmel? Take that back. Community high school hybrid schedule. Principal Garcia, on this plan, is there anything that you would like to mention on this one?
Just also provide you with some survey data. Again, we surveyed our families over at community high school. We have 18 students. We heard back from 7 families. 5 indicated that they would prefer hybrid, and 2 indicated that they would prefer distance learning.
Okay, board, any questions about the community high? Christy?
Again, there seem to be 2 schedules, or am I confused here? I'm trying to see.
We did put forward a couple schedules, and we are recommending schedule 2.
Where's the schedule 1?
So on page 207, so what you're suggesting right now is the possibility of Tuesday and Thursday students are there,
Correct.
and that's it for the week.
Of in person, yes.
Okay. Well, I know I sound like a broken record tonight. This is a very small setting. This is students who on a comprehensive high school settings have been lost along the way. And I think this is a fabulous opportunity with 2 full-time teachers and approximately 20 students to meet daily to get those kids revved up and very much headed towards graduation and the possibility of returning to regular high school if that's their choice. But I would be seeing them every day because their schedule's already a shortened day regularly. So that's what I'd like to see.
John Paff?
I have no comment.
Okay, Ryan?
Yeah, because like somebody's making popcorn or something in the microwave, so it keeps glitching over here. I'm so sorry. That Principal Garcia, what was the breakdown again between the students' preferences at this point in your survey?
Yes, 5 families indicated hybrid
Mm-hmm.
and 2 indicated distance learning. And-
Okay.
Yes.
11 didn't respond. That's the kicker.
Yeah, we didn't get a good response.
And although at this very moment in time, you aren't you short a teacher right now?
Not at this time.
You have a sub in there, or how are we doing?
Brad's still there till the 30th.
Yes.
Oh, he's there till the 30th. Okay.
His
All right.
retirement will be official come January 1.
Okay.
So we're in the process of advertising for the position. It actually closes tomorrow.
Mhm.
And our goal is to conduct interviews early next week so that we are able to have somebody in place come the new semester.
Okay. All right. And your preference again between these two schedules was which one?
Schedule 2.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
John Walton?
No questions.
You know, I'm not missing a page, and I just don't see the other schedule.
It's the heading is overview of hybrid learning on page 208.
Oh, here, sorry. I found it. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open this up for public comment. And if you have a public comment on the Pacific Grove Community High School plan, please raise your hand. I'm going to look carefully for hands. Or does anybody see any hands? I don't see
No
any.
hands.
No
Okay,
hands.
thank you. Okay, I will bring it back to the board for a motion, please.
I
Okay.
will move for approval of the hybrid schedule as presented with the schedule 2 as the preference. And then that, I forget how we're wording it again.
To go no earlier than March 15th or 2 weeks after the red tier.
There you go. Thank you. That's how I'm moving.
And I'll second. Okay, so we have a motion by Brian Swanson, seconded by Debbie Crandall. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
No.
trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Walton,
Aye.
student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That passes 4-1, correct? Only heard one.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all for those plans. I mean, things are changing rapidly, so we may be talking about this. Well, you all will be talking about this again soon. Okay, let's see. We are on to action discussion I, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Pacific Grove School District, Pacific Grove Teachers Association Special Education Small Group Addendum to COVID-19 Memorandum of Understanding. So we have a memorandum of understanding that was put in place, actually 2, I believe, right? One in June, or is it was June, one from June to June, right? I think. And this is an addendum to that, based on what you've heard tonight a little bit about having the small groups for special education in certain areas. And we also included that in the transition program. Director Davies or Billy Minky, I'm just saying that because of whose name's on here. If anybody wants to add anything, otherwise I'll bring it to the board.
Madam President, I would just really like to thank both groups working on this addendum. The teachers, PGTA, working with administration. I think we met approximately 3 different times, and it's just a great working group. We work together, and we come to agreements, and then we also agree that if things aren't working, we'll come back and take another look at it. Also on this item on page 4, there was a change that we needed to make at the top of page 4, and it's the second sentence. We had an incorrect item in there. It's a typo. So we deleted from 6 subsection D of this MOU shall be utilized. We deleted that, and we added defined in section 15 of the memorandum of understanding shall be utilized. So what we intend to do is reference section 15 of the MOU with this addendum, not section 6 subsection D.
Okay. And you'll give that language to Mandy.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll make that as part of a motion. Thank you. Principal Rogoman, just want to give you opportunity if there is anything else you'd like to add. If not, we'll bring it back to the board.
Just want to support what Director Mankey has already said. It's really a pleasure to work with the group when they are trying to understand the intentions that we bring to the table, and that we also really try to understand the intentions that they do. When that's present, then true, genuine compromise can really be reached. And it's been a pleasure to work with our group. We feel really confident that if we do need to come back to the table, that we'd be able to hammer out whatever we needed to do. So thank you to PGTA for being such a wonderful team.
Yep.
And thank you
to Buck for being our lead.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thank you to both of you, actually, and the whole team. Okay, to the board for questions, Christy.
No, obviously I echo all the hard work. Thank you so much. It just helps navigate these trying times, and this is very solid. Thank you.
John Path.
I have no additional comments. Thank you very much.
Okay, Brian.
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
John Walton.
Nothing for me.
Okay, thank you. We'll open this up for public comment. Just raise your hand and I will look for it. I feel like I'm doing that Where's Waldo?
I don't see anything over here, President Crandall.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I don't see any hands either. Okay. Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion, please.
I move we accept the Pacific Grove Unified School District, Pacific Grove Teachers Association Special Ed Small Group Addendum to COVID-19 Memorandum of Understanding.
I'll second that.
Christy, can I have you add the with the correction to the page on page 4 that Billy mentioned?
Yeah, with the typo correction from page 4, please.
My second stands.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Christy Dawson, seconded by Brian Swanson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall.
Aye.
Trustee Dawson.
Aye.
Trustee Paff.
Aye.
Trustee Swanson.
Aye.
Trustee Walton.
Aye.
Student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. Thanks again to both teams. Okay, board calendar meetings. Dr. Porras, are there any changes to the calendar?
Thank you, Madam President. I think we actually made some adjustments on the calendar that will require action tonight. So,
okay.
So I think
they're all listed as virtual. Last week they were all DO.
Correct. That's one of the changes.
That's a change. Okay.
Yeah.
Board, as a matter of course, we actually need to set a date to meet for board goals and superintendent goals. So we don't have to do
Okay.
that tonight, but we deferred that in September.
Hmm.
We can
Okay.
add that this item for this item, or you can list it onto future agenda and then we can bring it back at a meeting.
We
Either
should have
place you
done
like.
that earlier. There's been so much going on. I didn't realize that we deferred it
Well, I mean,
in September.
you do need to set something, right?
No, I
Oh,
agree 100%. I just was like, I don't know how we missed that. How I missed that. So we don't have to do it tonight, but we could tentatively talk about it real briefly. January 21st kind of stands out. Give some time. This is just for the meeting, not to like approve it or anything.
Well,
Or this is not a special meeting, is it?
this
We
probably is.
We
Go
probably
ahead,
would.
Rob.
I would assume you'd want to make a special meeting just because it's that's how we've done it in the past, and it gives an opportunity to focus specifically on your goals and our my goals.
I would think, given that it's going to be a special meeting and we have a change coming up in the board, that we should hold off on setting a date until we have everyone present who will be
Till
on
next week.
everyone. Yeah, so we could do it.
Yeah.
We could set it for next week. That's fine.
Point.
Well, I was just gonna actually agree to that, but put it on the future agenda so it can be discussed again. But it's your guys' call. But if you're just gonna say that you want to review it next meeting,
No, it's a future agenda.
future agenda, okay. Any other changes? Dr. Porras, I thought you mentioned a couple changes. Was it just the
I'm sorry,
virtual?
it's the virtual piece, yeah.
Just the virtual, okay. Okay, board, anything else? Going once, going twice? Okay, public comment on the board calendar. No public comment, bring it back. I'll make a motion to approve the board calendar future meetings, ironically, as amended
Easy
to
for you to say, Debbie.
to just change it from the district office to virtual until otherwise noticed. That's my motion.
Seconded.
Everyone at the
Okay.
same time.
I have a motion by Debbie Crandall, seconded by Christy Dawson. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Crandall,
Aye.
trustee Dawson,
Aye.
trustee Paff,
Aye.
trustee Swanson,
Aye.
trustee Walton,
Aye.
student advisory.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 5-0. Okay, we are on now to our information discussion and our standing item of district update on response to COVID-19. Dr. Porras.
Thank you, Madam President. Actually, this will be rather short tonight, since we've kind of talked about some of the items already in the context of other points. I do want to make a couple of notations, though, for you. First off, I'll try to make sure that in the break newsletter we send out tomorrow, that we include the most current update from the county office, county health department. We get those regularly so that folks can see what the current data is looking like. In our meeting today with the health department, we were reminded that at this point, we are seeing increasing numbers. The adjusted case rate for our county is sitting at 36.7%, which is up from 30.7 last Tuesday. The positivity rate is up a little to 11.6 from 11% last Tuesday. And we're definitely not, at this point, they're definitely not looking at any waivers. Everything is shut down. So we are a ways away from a good turn of events. So that was why you saw, I think, the governor's most recent stay-at-home order. A couple of folks have been referring to it as a lockdown order, and I do want to clarify that this is not a lockdown order. That's a different title, and it's a lot more stringent. This is a little bit of a different case. We've sent that stay-at-home order down through as an update a couple of days ago. I do want to emphasize that the stay-at-home order does not affect essential services. Education and educational programs are essential services. It was made very clear by the health department and by the governor that the education programs are unaffected by this stay-at-home order. So any program that is currently in place remains in place. So for example, for us, our small group instruction for our special education students continues. Schools that have waivers in place or have applied and then got waivers accepted prior to this order, all of that will continue to function. I do want to also make a notation, and teachers that are on the meeting as well, I will be hearing this again in a different email tomorrow, but our small groups for special education, the one that we brought back, aside from the fact that the teachers have just been doing an amazing job with the students, really just amazing. We will continue the small groups through December the 18th, which is the last day before the winter break. And then when we come back, rather than pick up the small groups again right when we return in January, we're going to follow the guideline, the stay-at-home order, and commence the small groups again on January the 11th. This will also help give a little bit of space for those families that may have found the stay-at-home order challenging over the break. And so by giving a little bit of a cushion from when families return from the break and when we bring the small groups back, it will allow any COVID related issues to resolve themselves in that a little bit of a cushion of time. And then our students will return back onto campus. Many of the schools are doing a very similar kind of thing. And so that will also give a little bit of an opportunity for our teachers to be a little more safe in knowing that the students that are returning to their care at the school sites have had a little bit of a cushion time as well. So that's something that we will be doing. I also wanted to emphasize that, emphasize and thank the work of Nurse Powley. We do have a district nurse, which is not the case in all districts. And Ms. Katrina Powley has been exceptional. She has responded to our needs immediately. She has a very good working relationship with the county health department. She's able to contact them with any issues and get an immediate response. We have had a few cases few issues that have come up of concern. She has been right on it and has been an effective communicator. And I want to thank her and acknowledge the amazing work that she's doing. Just remarkable. I do want to say that for the work that she is doing on the website, our website, I asked Mr. Mejia to re-emphasize the link to the parent guide for COVID-19. There's a frequently asked questions document. He's reposted that for us. In fact, you'll see a pop-up window. If you refresh your homepage for the district, you will see a pop-up window spring into action that shows a link right to this frequently asked questions so that parents can see this. It helps answer a lot of the different kinds of questions that are out there regarding our response time, quarantining, how do we know our students are safe, all sorts of things. Really good document that she worked on. So that's available for you there to take a look at, and I encourage our families to also look at that. It is on the website as well under the COVID section. So that is there for you. And then last but not least, I did want to make one other notation that the superintendents in the county, most of us got together as we usually do, to try to see kind of a little bit of an alignment and are calibrating in terms of programs that are happening. The majority of the districts that are out there are recognizing the uptick in the cases that are happening and are starting to sort of tailor down the programs that they have for students on site. We will be getting back together as soon as we return from the break to see what the data looks like. And our hope is to try to have, see if we can get the county to release a little bit of common practices that are happening out there. So just be on the lookout for that. I'll put out an update, but I wanted just to assure everybody that we're in tune and in touch with everyone in the county as well. We're not, while PG is out in the peninsula in our own little last hometown, we are definitely connected with the rest of the community as well and watching what's happening. And as the ICU beds are being taken up and things are happening in our community, we are reaching out with whatever resource we can get for our families. So that's what we have going for this evening. And any other information I'll certainly put onto an update for you all as we proceed.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for representing Pacific Grove in that way, keeping in touch and actually leading in some cases since this started in March. We get a lot of information from you and appreciate that. Board, are there any comments or questions regarding this item? Christy?
Yeah, I would just echo what you say about Ms. Powlett, because we as a board get wonderful updates for her as well that clarify a lot of things. So she's done an outstanding job for us. I agree.
John Paff?
In keeping with that, Nurse Pally's done a great job and frankly, putting information out to staff and constantly reemphasizing the ground rules that we set in place early on. For example, if I come home and one of my sons has a confirmed case, I have an obligation to report that within 24 hours. Those rules and following up on a regular basis, so that really what we set up very early on is being used and should be very effective in keeping us moving. And I appreciate that feedback from her and from the district on this. Dr. Porras, thank you for your comments tonight too.
Brian?
Just to echo what Trustee Dawson and Trustee Paff said, to be getting that information, and when I've had minor questions or points of clarification beyond my expectations. So it's great. I know some districts probably are not as fortunate as we are to have somebody like her. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. John Walton?
Nothing from me.
Okay. Any public comment on this? It's information discussion only.
Yes.
You, Vanessa, can I open that for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You should be able to unmute.
Okay, thank you. I just had a quick question. I work with adult transition program at the adult school, and I just want to thank everybody for all the hard work that everyone has done to make sure that all of our students and ourselves, we can come back safely. And I want to thank Claire. I want to thank Song. I want to thank everybody at the board for making this happen, especially Ralph, always sending out those emails for us and making sure we're well informed. I really, really appreciate that. I just had a quick question. Is there going to be a time where the small cohorts are going to go away for SPED? If the cases go too high, since I work with adults, the likelihood of us transmitting is a lot higher than it would be like at, for example, Robert Down or Forest Grove. So I just wanted to know if for transition, if it's going to be different because we work with adults compared to littles.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Right now, from what I'm seeing, because it's an education-related program, that we don't anticipate that to happen. I think we would get some warning ahead of time from the governor or his task force if that happens. And usually we hear that pretty rapidly. And I'll let you all know if that's the case. I don't see that in the immediate future. Again, I think if we come back, especially from the winter break, and then 2 weeks or so after the winter break, and numbers have just gone through the roof, and there's a different order from the governor, that might change things. But right now, we're not seeing that.
Okay. Thank you so much for all of your hard work, and my class and everyone. We all appreciate it very, very much. And as well as Matt, thank you so much for getting out there and fixing our little lunch place. It's so awesome now. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It makes life 100% easier.
Well,
So
you're leading the way down there on the ground. Thank you so much for what you do. Yeah.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you guys. You guys are MVPs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I don't see any other hands, so we'll bring it back. Again, thank you, Dr. Porras, for that update and the ongoing updates that you provide. We'll just keep moving along, as they say. Next item is information discussion B, review status of special education contracts. Director Davies.
Hi there.
Hello.
I don't know if Jonathan is going to show the chart or not, or we're not doing that tonight.
Do you want him to?
I think it's helpful.
What would you like me to show?
It's page 226 of the packet.
It's gonna take me some time. Give me a few moments.
Okay.
Okay.
So while Jonathan is pulling that up for the public, I'm Claire Davies, Director of Student Services, which includes special education. And the school board requires a periodic review of the status of special education contracts. And in the past, the requirement has been 3 to 4 times the school year. I'd like to kind of discuss that tonight after I review this with everybody. So I want to explain to folks that we are a very small district and we provide as much in-house services and invest in our district to provide services for students with disabilities as best as we can. But there are times in which we have to enter with outside agencies in order to provide services. And so that is where these contracts come from. So for example, occasionally we might have a student that requires placement in residential, and then we would be responsible to pay for the non-public school associated with that residential facility. That's one example. At times we need to contract with non-public agencies to perform things that we need done for our students as per the IEP process. An example of that would be bringing in psych ed services to provide BCBA services. Sometimes we need to contract with independent contractors. For instance, sign language interpreters is an example of an independent contractor. So these are our contracts, projected contracts for this school year. So we have Central Kids and Coast, which we talked about last board meeting. We have FAST interpreters for all languages. This company provides us with interpreters to attend IEP meetings to provide interpretation for our families. We have ISO Rhythm Music Therapy, which is for our SDC classrooms. Medi-Cal billing technology is a third party that processes our Medi-Cal billing. We pay an annual fee and for them to do all the paperwork, all the processing, and then we're able to have revenue from having them process this for us. Monterey County Office of Ed provides our infant program. They provide our deaf and hard of hearing itinerant program, our blind and visually impaired itinerant programs. So specialists come into our district to provide services for our students who might be hearing impaired, or I mean, they are hearing impaired or visually impaired. And we have, sometimes we need to place students, which at the present time, we have one student that requires placement in a highly specialized setting that is operated by Monterey County Office of Ed. They provide the transportation and the rider, so we pay that tuition and those fees. We bring Planned Parenthood in once a year to provide sex educate. Well, it's more like relationship education. It's open to our middle school, high school, and transition program that is only with parental permission. And we have a parent night in which Planned Parenthood reviews the information with the parents prior to parents giving permission for their students to participate. And as you know, we have 3 different contracts with psych ed services. One was to help us catch up with our backlog on assessments due to school closure in March. One is the BCBA that is doing, is providing some consultation for parents for us. And then we have we just got this new one approved last time, and that is for psych ed to assist us with initials and tries to relieve workload for teachers that are overburdened at the present time. And then we have our sign language interpreter, Sharon Newman. So our projection at the present time is about 280,000 for this school year. Year to date, we have paid 33,000. And as you know, the invoices come in at different times and we pay them quickly. And so this is where we are at the present time with our contracts.
Thank you, Claire, for that explanation on each of those. I know that the contracts are just part of your budget, but I do want to commend you on what you've done with this program since I've been on the board. And the budget has seen I think a drastic decrease since you've been working on the projects, or not projects, programs. So thank you for that. And thank you for bringing this and explaining it all.
So I was, we do this like 3 or 4 times a school year. And I wanted to bring up that I understand why this was a requirement in 13, 14, 14, 15. Just for some historical review, 13, 14 was the year prior to my being hired, and contracts were 200,220,000.
Oh, okay.
My first year hired for this school district, assuming the program, the contracts were 2,021,196. And so then as we've built our program and we've invested our school district dollars inside our school district rather than outsourcing our students and outsourcing our services. I'm sorry, I do not know who keeps texting me. Because we've developed our own programs, we've gone from spending 2,021,196 outside of the district. And last school year, our contracts ended up being 171,000.
That's drastic.
In addition, we now have revenue. So by bringing in children from outside the district who need placement, not only have we decreased our contracts from over $2 million down last year to 171,000. On top of that, we brought in 384,000 with students being placed in our school district, which pays for the contracts. So what I'd like to ask is, it seems like an outdated practice to have special ed have to report to the school board 4 times a year about our contracts. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I'm just going to be honest about it. I don't see any other departments having to do this. So and you're more than welcome to the information. I can do this. I don't mind, but I'm just wondering if it's a practice that's based in history and not reflective of where we are as a district now.
Well, all the board members will have a chance to speak, of course, as well. That is my what I remember is that it was asked because of all the changes that you were making that have obviously been very positive, right? But back in 13, 14, 15, like you said, we wanted to make sure, what was happening and it was the outcome was positive, and, that we weren't not providing services that we should, which that's clearly not the case. I would see this, we approve the contracts, right? It's not like we don't approve the contracts. We approve them at the meetings, so we are aware of them. So, and you know, I won't speak to going forward because I'm not going to be here, but I would support not having that need. Again, I appreciate you bringing that up and this presentation. Christy?
Well, I appreciate the historical perspective. And Claire, obviously I wasn't around when it was so out of hand. These are very obvious improvements. I do think what's true is a lot of times special ed it's harder to understand than so many other things because it's so layered and nuanced. So maybe not quarterly, but even if it was, you know, biannually or annually where we kind of get this overview, I certainly think it's helpful and it allows you to kind of speak to trends and things that are happening within the district. So I would be open to you lessening it, but I sure love to see the overall template for how you approach things and what goes on. When contracts come up one at a time, we don't interact daily like you do. So I sure think it's helpful to have a little bit of this, and maybe you're right and we should shorten it down and not look at it as you know, punitive or that we're watching you, but that you're educating us about the needs of our kids and current trends. So thank you so much. I think it's a great job. I appreciate hearing from you.
I appreciate your perspective, Christy, because that helps me understand that by doing this, I'm providing a snapshot of the big picture.
Exactly. Okay. Very helpful, I think. But maybe not as often. I mean,
maybe just not quarterly.
Not quarterly. Maybe you do it, you know, twice a year, you know, in the mid-year to tell us what the status is and the end of the year where you end up. Because I think sometimes you're obviously less than it was projected, and that's good for us to see as well.
Okay.
So thank you again.
Thank you. I understand. Thank you.
John Paff?
Thank you very much for putting this together again. And Christy, you said biannually, you meant semi-annually, correct? Twice a year?
Twice a year.
Must you correct me again, Mr. Paff?
Well,
Yes,
you know, let's
twice a year. Two tiempos. Thank you.
So
Bi is every other. Yes.
That's very reasonable. And this is a practice item. There's no policy change to do that. We just have to say, yeah, fine. So I'm certainly okay with that. I do appreciate seeing it and appreciate seeing the drawdown and the fact that right now it's much less than anticipated. So thank you.
Brian?
I'm just going to say the same thing that everybody else has said so far. I think 4 times a year is probably too much, but a couple of times a year, partly because I love seeing what you're doing, Claire, and what your team is doing. And you're such a tremendous asset to the district that I'm so grateful that we have you and your team. So thank you for bringing all that you bring. But I do think, again, it's important that we hear it a couple of times a year, because sometimes people just don't know how awesome it is, what's happening and what you guys are doing. So it's nice to shine a light on it too. So that's all. Thank you.
I'm sorry if I came across as a whiner.
Yeah, no.
I don't think you did.
And I miss that we're not going to get to do our Christmas caroling this year.
Yeah, right. That's always awesome. I'm going to miss that terribly.
Madam President, if I may, I just wanted to add, my gratitude to Claire and her team, and Claire's leadership. I mean, I've said this before, but I think it's worth reminding everyone. You know, people around the county and around the state call Claire Davies for her advice and her recommendation, and her wisdom. We're really fortunate to have her here, and the work she does has just been really monumental. I've been, this is my 14th year here, and watching the phase over and the change in the special education programs, and the general education programs that have benefited from the work that she's created in the special education program has just been remarkable. I'm just fortunate to work with her and appreciate her work. And what you're seeing is just a clear, concrete demonstration of her own work. So anyway, we appreciate you, Claire. You just do amazing work. So.
Thank you.
John Walton? See here still.
I think he's taking a break.
John needed to leave. I just got a text. He had a business issue that came up and he needed.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll just add another thing, another comment for me, that when I first got on the board, you weren't here, it was somebody else, and of course I didn't really know anything about what was going on, and my eyes got real big when I saw the budget, and now my eyes get real big, but on a different reason because of the work that you've done. So I know I've said it, but I'll say it again, and I appreciate it very much. Okay, any public comment on this item? I don't see any. Board see any?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Thank you again, Claire. So I guess you guys are gonna decide when. I guess every 6 months since January. So
yes, I think that's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are on to our last item. Yay! Future agenda items. Let's see, board. Anything that you heard tonight, or would you like to put on here, Christy?
No, not at this time.
Okay, John Path.
Well, again, we have an agenda item for strategic goals for the board, leading ultimately to superintendent goals. That needs to come back, and I believe that's a separate meeting. And I'd like to remove the item here on board policy 6154. We looked at that in June of this year.
Okay, so we're adding strategic goals and superintendent goals, just to keep it on the radar, because that clearly fell off the radar. And then I agree to remove that board policy. I think there was a comment about one particular incident, and we did review it and we did update the policy. Each site had input in it, so I agreed to remove it.
Yeah, I agree too.
You agree too? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good there too.
Brian?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else to add, or no?
No, thank you for asking, but no.
Okay, and John Walton had to go. So Dr. Porras, anything from you?
No, Madam President, we're noting your changes. The only thing I would add is I'm just looking at the staff calendar, and it appears that Thursday, January the 28th is kind of an in-between time between board meetings. It is a Thursday. I know the board likes to kind of keep Thursdays if possible. So if you like, I can put that as a tentative date, and then a final decision could be made at the next meeting. At least it just puts a date out there, but totally up to the board.
Who says the board likes to keep Thursdays?
No, the board's brought it up a few times, because Thursdays are always held for meetings. So I'm happy to do it whenever.
He loves razzing us. I say.
I mean, to me, it's far better to run an 8:30 to an 11:30 on a Saturday, and have the rest of the day and not be exhausted from having worked.
Are you talking a Saturday morning?
I'm funny like that. I actually do get up on Saturdays. Yeah.
Well, I do too, but I'm not to do this. I'm gonna.
I think there's, in all joking aside, I don't think it's bad to come in focused on the one item. Last time we did it was in October. I remember it was my birthday that I gave up to come and do this. And if we do it and we're real focused, it's nice when people are fresh and not after a hard day. It could be slightly later, so it's not too disruptive to sleep.
8:45. Got it.
Oh, no.
Sleep. I'm talking.
So are you guys saying tentatively the 28th, or what was the?
I think what John said earlier is true. We'll have a new member by then. And I think go ahead, put it on the 28th, and then we can hone it down once we have our full new board.
Okay, good, Dr. Porras.
I work at the pleasure of the board for sure.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, any public comment on future agenda items?
No hands.
I'm seeing none.
Madam
Okay.
President, if I may,
Yes.
ask one last request.
Sure.
Perhaps the 48 participants remaining can give you a virtual round of applause for a wonderful meeting this evening.
Yeah. Woo!
Thank you.
It's too late to cry. Save it for the next
Thank
meeting.
you.
Congratulations,
Well,
Debbie.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to say a little bit tonight, so I'm not emotional. Haha, that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure to be on this board, and all of the people that I have met, the experience that my sons have had. See, here I go. And you teachers are amazing. And that's why we're here. I mean, we need to support the students, but we need to support you too. And I know it sometimes feels like it's hard that, you know, we're not supporting you or the public's not supporting you, but we do support you. I support you, and thank you for what you do. And thank you. It's been an honor to be on this board. So with that, meeting is adjourned.
Yay!
Stay healthy. See you in a week.
In a week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.